What is up, guys? Agent Cacus has been reactivated. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we are going to be showcasing what I believe is currently the best feature of the Division 2 since the new Warlords of New York DLC. This feature is the Recalibration Station. It can be a little complicated, but in this video we're going to be going over exactly how to use it, how to make the most of it, what to be looking for, and why, frankly, other looter shooters, you guys know the one, should be following suit with similar features. It's that good. And so, let's get started. Now, this video is sponsored by Ubisoft, so thank you to them. But, guys, nobody tell them this. I was planning on making this video anyways. Regardless, there is actually a link in the description of this video. If at any point you're thinking, hey, I'd like to try the Division 2, this is looking pretty ballin', definitely head down to the description, click that link. Because the Division 2 has always been pretty darn rich in content, and with the Warlords of New York DLC, even more so. You head back to New York, so there's a whole new area. You're chasing down Aaron Keener, who was the original villain in Division 1, and you're going to get to do that with a ton of new gear, new weapons, exotics, and a completely overhauled loot system, which I am liking so much better than the original one, let's be honest. Oh, and Season 1 has officially started, so just for playing the game and leveling up your seasonal rank, you're gonna get, like, set armor, striker set armor, which I farmed for before the season started, so I feel like a dummy, but yeah, get on in there and click the link if you want to try it out. So, what is going on with the Recalibration Station? Why is this such a good feature? Essentially, what the Division 2 has done is given players the ability to bank god rolls. So, if you get a max stat piece of gear, but you're not really using that specific piece of gear, if you get a weapon with a max stat roll, or a talent you really want, but you don't really like that particular gun, you can extract those talents, those stats, and you can reapply them to other pieces of gear. It eliminates so much of the frustration, the hassle of an RNG-oriented system. It makes the looter part of a looter shooter actually feel rewarding because you're almost always getting beneficial things, either to actually add to your build or to bank for later for future builds or again for your current build. So how do you use the Recalibration Station? Well, it's going to be located in the White House just past where you pick your specialization, and when you originally open it up, there are two different sections, the Recalibration Station and the Recalibration Library. Think of it as this. The left section is putting stuff onto your gear. The right section, the library, is taking stuff from your gear. So let's start with the library. When you click that, you're going to be presented with a big menu of all the different weapon types and armor types within the game. This is where you select where you want to be getting these stats or talents from. I recently got a holster with the absolute god roll in weapon damage, plus 15%, the best you can possibly get, but I'm not using this specific brand of holster. So what I can do is go into the holster section, click this holster I'm not going to be wanting to use, and extract weapon damage in terms of a core attribute because they're broken up into core attributes and then attributes, and now, as you can see, I can apply this weapon damage to any other holster I have. So, if that holster already has weapon damage as an attribute, it will be increased to the plus 15% god roll I now have, or if it's something else like an increase to armor, it will be replaced with plus 15% to weapon damage. Now, if you're somewhat confused between core attributes and attributes, it's simply how the stats are broken up. Certain core things, like an increase to weapon damage, an increase to armor, a skill tier, are considered core attributes, whereas a lot of other things, weapon handling, sometimes even headshot damage, stuff like that, critical hit chance, etc., those are all just normal attributes. And a piece of gear is going to spawn with one core attribute and multiple attributes. Funny enough, the holster I dismantled also had a god roll for weapon handling. But in my opinion, weapon damage is better. But if you already had weapon damage banked in your recalibration library, then it would definitely be worth it to withdraw weapon handling and have that attribute that you could also apply to other holsters out there. But it isn't just the stats you need to be on the lookout for. Remember, you can also withdraw the talents or the perks of pieces of armor and weapons. And that works exactly the same as the stats. You take the talent from one piece of gear and you replace the talent of another piece of gear with it. But remember, it is going to be specific to that weapon or armor type. So if you're extracting talents and stats from assault rifles, you can only put them on other assault rifles. Same works for LMGs, shotguns, chest armor, backpack, holsters, etc. So that's the library, extracting stats and talents from loot you have. Now let's go to the recalibration station and see how you apply them. Well, once you've extracted a certain stat or a talent, you just have it forever. It's not a one and done thing. That's one of the best parts. So if you do get, in this example here, this is a rifle and it has absolutely maxed out critical hit damage, I can withdraw that and put that on any other rifle. So anytime I get the rifle I'm actually looking for, if I get a named rifle that just doesn't have the stats I need, I can apply this god roll critical hit damage and get exactly what I want, which is a super great feature. Now, if you go into the recalibration station, you can see all of the different stats that you have extracted. So you can break it down into those major attributes, minor attributes, and talents. And then, you can see me right here. I have a chest piece I'm using, doesn't have the best damage, plus 9%. I've previously extracted that plus 15% weapon damage from another chest piece I didn't really want. And now I can apply it to my current chest piece. In a few clicks, I've just got 6% more damage across the board, just like that. But remember, super importantly, you can only replace one thing. So for that chest piece, I replaced its core attribute. That's it. I can't also replace its talent and then also replace an attribute. I can just pick one of those things. So you want to be using the recalibration station to help you either catch up if you get the brand or the set armor you really want, but it just doesn't have that core attribute you really need. You need weapon damage, you need armor. That's when you swoop in and replace it. Or if you're just one stat or attribute or perk away from the god roll, then you can use the recalibration station to get that god roll. So this doesn't completely negate the factor of going out into the game world and looting and grinding that gear and trying to get god rolls out in the world, but it just lessens the sting of RNG from just being, one talent or one attribute off from getting the god roll. This can fix it. But for newer players, it's also a godsend. Too often with builds, you'll just need a few talents to make the thing really rumble, to make it competitive, to make everything come together. With the recalibration station, it's much more practical to get a functioning build together. And if you are a newer player, and this is just huge, you can start using the recalibration station right away because it costs absolutely nothing to extract stats and talents. That's right, no resource cost to extract. So as you're just playing through the Warlords of New York expansion, as you're doing normal missions, as you're looting purple gear, you can still extract the talents from purple gear. You can still extract pretty high stat rolls from purple gear. So not even quite yet endgame gear, you can start extracting stuff and already set yourself in a much better position to improve your loot when you finally start getting endgame gear and start looking towards an endgame build. But this whole thing means that you really want to be on the lookout for talents and stats you want. You can see that when I'm playing the game, I'm looking at all the loot and I can see, hey, this piece of armor, I'm not using it at all. I think the brand stats are trash. I don't want it. But if it has absolutely maxed out, in this case, skill damage, heck yeah, I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to extract it in the recalibration library. And if I do create a skill build later on, I can apply that and already be up and running. But this also means that you really want to be checking vendors. Real life example, when getting the gameplay for this video, the clan vendor was selling an AR with maxed out health damage. So heck yeah, I'm going to buy that. I don't even necessarily want to use it because the rest of the stats aren't that great, but I'm going to extract that. So if I get an assault rifle with maxed out assault rifle damage, then I can apply max out health damage and ooh, we're just slaying out at that point. So you're not necessarily disappointed if you don't get exactly the loot you're looking for, because you're almost happy to get loot you don't want if it has great stats or talents. Now, with all of that being said, remember that when you're doing all of this, it is going to cost materials. It is going to cost resources to apply these stats and talents to your gear. So make sure that you're going out, you're playing the game, you're looting in the open world, you're opening especially those material chests so you can stock up. Another useful tip I have for you guys is backpacks and chest armor are the only pieces of armor with talents, and there's some very powerful armor talents within the Division 2. So if you're trying to put together a set armor, so I mentioned Striker earlier in the video, if you get one of the many new or returning armor sets, the green sets within the game, the optimal way to do it is to run all set armor except for a chest piece and a backpack so that you can get the 4 set bonus while still having 2 amazing talents, which are so much easier to get because of the recalibration station for your other pieces of armor. And so guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Division 2 content, let me know in the comment section down below. Again, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.